I find it important really to stress the importance of really how much the CGCC staff has worked hard, not only for this report, but also for their tireless efforts, days, nights, and weekends. They put on roughly almost, I think, about 100 events throughout the year. This is certainly one of their larger events, but they really have worked hard over the course of the last several years to build the organization, to really give its members and the community the best resources and the best information and the best opportunities to really do what's being done here today, which is bringing people both from China and from the United States together. So again, I really cannot compliment them enough in the work that they do, and I'm sure the members here today and throughout the year, whether it's their newsletters, whether it's the emails, the events, we really all benefit an enormous amount from their hard work. And through that period, I've gotten to know Mr. Evan Pan. Where's Evan? Evan's over here. Evan Pan is one of those people who I think I talk to either on a weekly, but I think almost now on a daily basis. He's put in him and his team has put an enormous amount of effort in putting this report together. And right now, while you have the report in front of you, he's going to share with us some of the core findings and executive summary of the report. So a warm welcome for Mr. Evan Pan.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Evan from China General Chamber of Commerce. Today, on behalf of CGCC and with special thanks to our partner PwC, I would like to present you the update findings of our 2019 Annual Business Survey Report. So, currently in our industry, if you want to understand Chinese investment in the United States, there are a couple places to go. First, on the top level, you'll find various sources tracking investment data transaction from China to the United States. While on the other side, you'll find various press releases, stories, articles, case studies being written by the media and by various institutions. However, there seems to be a lack of comprehensive approach trying to understand the existing Chinese enterprises in the United States. This is exactly where our annual business survey report fits into. The goal of our survey report is to provide the general public, policymakers, the business communities that we serve with up-to-date information, data, facts, opinions, sentiments collected from existing Chinese enterprises in the United States. As you can see here on the screen, we've been doing this for the past 6 years. Now, let's take a sneak peek into our respondents this year. Who are they? We have included data reported by 240 Chinese enterprises in the United States. They're majority CGCC members. They operate in various sectors. Their US locations are located in 20 different states. In terms of financial conditions, those companies are particularly small, growing, and profitable. I believe everyone in this room has already got a hard copy of our annual business survey report. As you can see, it contains 68 pages. It is definitely a very comprehensive report with a lot of details. So today, I'm only going to walk you through very high-level findings. Particularly in this section, we're going to talk about, first, why Chinese companies invest, how Chinese companies invest, what are the results, what are the challenges, and what are the opportunities. So, why Chinese companies invest in the United States? After 40 years of growth, China has already created a number of mature companies that are ready to compete in the global market. The United States is certainly of great interest to the Chinese companies. According to our survey, over half of our CGCC members say the United States is either their top or one of their top 3 international priorities in terms of markets. When we ask them about their business objectives operating in the United States, we find that 83% of them said growing existing business is their primary objective. There is a company called International Vitamin Corporation, the IVC. 10 years ago, The annual revenue of IVC was merely about $100 million. After 10 years of growth, IVC's annual revenue has increased to $1 billion last year. So 10 times of growth. There are many Chinese companies, just like IVC, who experienced substantial growth in the past, but there are even more Chinese companies that are quite small but growing. So how Chinese companies invest? We're all familiar with that. Most of the Chinese investment in the United States are made through mergers and acquisitions. As much as 90% of them are made through this way. But however, if you look at the number of Chinese companies, you'll find that most of the Chinese companies start their US operations through greenfield investment. That is, they are more likely to establish a new business entity than to acquire an existing one. Actually, 54% of the companies start their US operations this way, while a form of acquisition was used by about 18% of the companies. I think it is not news to us anymore that in the past 2 years, Chinese investment in the United States has dropped significantly in the past 2 years. But if you look at the number of greenfield investment and the volume of greenfield investment, you actually find the greenfield investment showed very strong resistance against the backdrop. In terms of scale, greenfield investment is in general smaller compared to M&A. But instead of just purchasing a company or an asset, greenfield investment generates new spendings that goes into the market and new jobs that have never been created before. So we can never underestimate the impact of greenfield investment. So as Chinese companies keep investing in this market, what are the results? What are the impacts? To answer this question, I have a few points to make here. So as Chinese companies grow and profit, the profit that they gain at the local US market don't go back to China. Actually, 85% of them have indicated that all or majority of their profit gained in this local market will be reinvested back to the United States. So what about jobs? CGCC members currently employ about 200,000 American workers throughout the United States. Nearly half of them have indicated that they are going to increase their workforce in the near future, in the next 2 years. However, the number of companies with workforce expansion plan has dropped to a 3-year low, given the uncertainties of the US-China relationship. Apart from the employees directly hired by Chinese companies, local business owners also benefit from Chinese investment. There's one company called Fuyao. Fuyao is one of the largest car window suppliers in the world. It is a tier 1 supplier. In Fuyao's industry, one job at a tier 1 supplier will typically support 2 to 3 additional jobs along the supply chain. Fuyao has 2,300 employees, which means those employees will be sufficient to support additional 6,000 jobs for all the companies that Fuyao conducts business with. Fuyao's investment has brought the local communities back from depression. Schools, restaurants, shops, real estate are all back to life. As their employees increase their incomes, they are more likely to purchase new homes and cars, which led to new gas stations open nearby. As you can see, all those amazing opportunities were created by a single one project of Fuyao Glass America. With that being said, it is not always easy to do a business in a foreign country. Chinese investors continue to face challenges in the US market. Some of the challenges are external, some of the challenges are internal, many due to the fact that they are not familiar with the local regulations. Given what happened in recent 2 years, Chinese investors feel uneasy about the US-China relationship. Actually, 75% of them have identified the complex US-China relation as one of their major challenges operating in this market. When we take a closer look, we asked all our members to predict what's going to happen in terms of our investment and business environment in the next 2 years. 33% of them have said they're going to see a decline of the overall business and investment environment. 33% of them see a decline. While this number a year ago was 12%, 2 years ago, 5%. Caution among Chinese companies is clearly rising, and this is very worrisome for our everyday business operations. We also ask about our members to see if they were adversely impacted by the policies or positions regarding China or regarding Chinese companies, especially announced by this current administration. No surprises here. Tariffs is among top of the list. 77% of the companies have said the tariffs have adversely impacted their business operations in this United States. When we put tariffs into perspective, in the short term, 45% of the companies say that they're going to delay their future investment from China to the United States and simply wait until both governments to reach a deal. 38% of them say that if those tariffs are going to remain effective in the long term, they're going to readjust their global supply chain and to avoid the tariffs. However, one thing I want to mention here is that the impact on tariffs here is largely underestimated, because by the time that we conducted the survey in March, the recent increase on tariffs from 10 to 25% on $250 billion of Chinese merchandise did not yet happen. So if we're going to ask the same questions today to all those respondents, we're probably going to get very different numbers. So here at CGCC, the goal of this report goes beyond simply just listing all those issues. We want to take a more proactive approach into the future, into our path forward. So as Chinese companies, how can we improve ourselves? How can we gain long-term success at this market? This year, we gave 2 practical recommendations regarding people strategy. 1, you hire local talent, especially hiring local managers. 2, utilizing third-party service firms. They sort of go hand in hand with companies' globalization strategy as well as localization strategy, and they seem quite obvious for most people who sit in this room today, but in practice, they seem to be very challenging, difficult, or sometimes time-consuming. It requires clear vision, strong will from the top leaders, and radical transformation that must take place within the organization. So I want to talk more about the people strategy, especially hiring local talent. While we found deploying a number of expats working at the US subsidiary is a common practice among Chinese companies, while as a company grows and matures, increasing hires of local talent, especially local managers, is proven to be a successful strategy. Actually, many Chinese companies have decreased their dependence on expats in the last few years. There's one company called JD Copper, which is the largest copper manufacturer in Alabama. When it just opened its business in 2014, JD Copper deployed about 80 to 90 expats working in its US factory. After 5 years of growth, the number of expats has been reduced from 80 to 40, while they increased the workforce to 400 people. Many other companies, such as Fuyao, IVC, and Hisense, they all reduced the number of expats over time, and IVC especially, the number of expats who work at IVC right now is literally 0 out of the 3,000 people it manages of today. So to conclude, here at CGCC, we currently understand that there is still a lot of issue going on, and there's a lot of noise trying to understand, predict, or influence our bilateral relationship. But we want everyone who's sitting in this room to focus on the big picture. China and the United States combined represent 40% of the global GDP. Yet, Chinese investment in the United States only accounts for less than 2% of the overall foreign direct investment in this country. So there is a lot of room to grow together. So we hope, let's redirect our attention to the facts, data, opinions shown in this report. CGCC members hold strong commitment to fully invest in this economy, which dictates to creating jobs, creating opportunities, creating viable benefits, creating well-being for the society. We hope this report can facilitate a better conversation among our policymakers, and we strongly believe that our business from both US and China will work together to build a strong and long-lasting relationship that will benefit everyone. I think my time is up. I'll give the podium back to Peter. Again, my name is Evan. I hope you enjoy this report. Thank you.